All right, yes. So I wanted to go over the timeframes cheat sheet after another suggestion, great suggestion as well. And if we can get some examples for each time frame entry, etc. So that is exactly what I want to go over. I'll try my best to explain it, how I view it. So again, this is timeframes cheat sheet v2. So version 2, where I actually give you examples as well. Now you can view these examples for yourself as well, or you can just scout them out. As in, what I mean by that is you can go over your own charts and see where you find, for example, a monthly PD rate that followed through, etc. And you can view, all right, this is how you can use a 4-hour ST plus RE, and this is how you can use the daily, etc., etc. So in this moment right here, I first off wanted to go over USD JPY. That is what I have for my monthly. So for my monthly, I have US dollar JPY. So on the monthly, I have this exact example where I have this order block right there. Then I wanted to go into the lower time frame, into the 4-hour and into the daily. Because the time frames cheat sheet is, we have a 4-hour monthly PD rate is 4-hour ST plus re-entry. So let me actually write that down as well. Then we have monthly, that is 4-hour, let me see, 4-hour ST plus RE, or it is a daily ST, or a daily ST. Those are the entries. Now, for your entry as well, if you want to go into the 5-minute time frame, because of course that is fractal, then inside that 4-hour ST alone, you can already go into the 5-minute ST plus RE, or, of course, your 15-minute ST. And that is how we are going to build on this. Now, first off, let's start off with the monthly. Monthly 4-hour ST plus RE into the daily ST. Then, if we go into the monthly right here, we have continued higher off of that monthly. This is also how I would hindsight backtest. So if you want to do the exact same, then I would highly advise you to do so. For example, here, that is where we follow through. I would then go into the 4-hour to see what did we do there. That is a great way of hindsight backtesting. Then in the 4-hour, what we can see is we would wait for a 4-hour ST plus a RE. The 4-hour ST plus a RE, 4-hour ST plus the RE happens right there. So that will be your RE, which you have gotten taken out right there. Could have happened. Then afterwards you have another RE, and every entry afterwards is just a simple RE on the 4-hour. So we are just creating new re-entries, and all these re-entries are valid entries to take. These are all valid entries, of course. You need to understand I'm currently not incorporating time. So with time, we could have potentially filtered out this loss right there, etc. I'm just looking at price action. I'm just looking at the entry, just very mechanical. All right, PD rate, this is the entry. That's all I'm currently doing. So right here, at a certain moment in time, we need to understand that we are now creating a daily fair value gap higher. Right there. Now, that is daily ST, of course. That daily ST of the monthly PD rate, that could also be your entry right there. Covering those lows and targeting around a 1 to 2 RR, whatever it is. Currently, we're only going to go over the entries. Now, the next part is inside that 4-hour ST plus RE. We can have only an ST, as in this ST alone right there, off of that fair value gap. That is our PD rate to go into the 5-minute time frame to look for our entry. Now, that's not something we're going to go over right now. Just understanding that if you were to take an actual entry, so we can filter this into 2 parts. Entry would be like this. If you want to take an entry on the 4-hour and daily, etc. If you want to go another confirmation, so a step lower, then it would be a lower time frame, lower time frame entry. Then you would go into the 5-minute. Then the ST is only is enough, as in the 4-hour ST is enough. The reason being for that is because you basically confirm on the 4-hour, or sorry, the 4-hour ST on the 5-minute inside this price action. You basically already confirm the next leg or the re-higher right there. So that is my thought process behind that. Whereas on the 4-hour, you absolutely can't do that. So then you would wait for just the re to get that extra confirmation. So that is how I view that as well. Then the next thing is, let's actually go into the lower time frame as well to look for the entry. So here you can go into the 5-minute or the 15-minute to look for your ST plus re on the 5 minute, or your simple 15-minute ST. So on the 5 minute, it would look something like this. You have your bigger ST, here you get a retracement, then this would be the entry right there. That would be your entry inside only the 4-hour ST. Whilst if you were to enter, so you needed a 4-hour ST plus re, so you want to enter all of the 4-hour, then you couldn't have done that just yet. It wouldn't be valid in my eyes. Then the next thing is the 15-minute ST is a little bit earlier actually. Right there, that could also be your entry of the 4-hour ST alone. Then the next part is where we have a weekly. So for the weekly, I wanted to go into NASDAQ, where we have the weekly fair value gap that followed through. So let me find it really quick. We have the weekly that is sitting right here. So this weekly fair value gap right there, that followed through. So let's dive into now, because now the rule changes. The rule now is, all right, we have a weekly PD array. So if we actually want to look at an entry, we change from the monthly to the weekly. Weekly PD array is now a 1-hour ST plus a re, or it's a 4-hour ST. Again, it's not a and, it's an or situation. So either you choose to enter off the 1-hour ST plus re or the 4-hour ST. Sometimes one will get created earlier than the other. Sometimes the other won't get created. Who knows, right? It can differ. So a general rule of thumb is that they both get created. Usually one or the other happens. That is why you can use it. That is how you can combine those confirmations, etc. Just knowing how much confirmation you need for a certain time frame. That is important. So the weekly turns into 1-hour ST plus re or 4-hour ST. Now, off of that 1-hour ST, so if you were to look for a lower time frame entry, inside that 1-hour ST, you can already look at a 1-minute ST plus re again, or a 5-minute ST alone. So that is again how you combine the time frames correctly, and that is how you know when should I enter. For entering, you ideally always need a time frame that has 2 confirmations, so the ST plus a re, ideally. Of course, if you combine it correctly, you can use the 5-minute ST plus. But right here, if we take the weekly and the 1-hour ST alone, so we don't use the re right there, that's not going to work. But if we take the 1-hour ST plus a 1-minute ST plus re inside that, that can work perfectly fine. So inside the weekly right here, we go into the 1 hour and we see 1-hour ST plus a re. Only 1-hour ST, not a re. 1-hour ST, but not a re. Then after a while, we're above it. So currently don't really like this, but right here we had this ST, and after a while we get this re as well right there. Now, just looking at price alone, this could have been your entry right there. Knowing what we did at that moment as well, we were waiting for the sweep because equities open, etc. So let's say around this was our entry. That's our 1-hour ST plus re, just purely based on the fact that we take into account time right there as well, just to avoid a simple loss that we could have avoided right there. That is a 1-hour ST plus re. Inside this 1-hour ST, for example, right there, if at the right time as well, we could have looked at a 1-minute ST plus re right there to continue lower as well. So then the next part is that here, of course, these are all entries as well, where now you can go into the 1-minute ST plus re as well right there. And you can even look to continue lower. Every re afterwards is just a 1-hour re. But you need to understand that on the 4-hour, on the time frame above you, you're also creating likely fair value gaps, etc., etc. So here, this is your 4-hour ST entry right there. Inside that 4-hour ST entry, of course, you can also go into the 5 minutes to look for your 5-minute ST plus re again. So it's constantly fractal. There are so many different options that you can use, where if we break it down really quick and write with me if you want to, it's if you were to use the monthly, for example, inside the monthly, you can have a 4-hour ST. So monthly PD array is what I'm aiming at. Monthly PD array, you have a 4-hour ST. That 4-hour ST, you can either wait for a re to enter off the 4-hour ST plus re, but that 4-hour ST plus re can also be your 5-minute ST plus re, or it can also be your 15-minute ST. Inside that 15-minute ST, that can also be a 1-minute ST. So it's constantly fractal. You can get the confirmation as crazy as you want to. Now, of course, you don't need to have it very crazy. It's very simplified. You just need that PD array to then go into the lower time frame, etc. That's all you need. But that is how I view it, etc. And that is how you can get crazier. So in the weekly, for example, if you had a 1 hour ST plus RE, or even a 1 hour ST, you can use that 1 hour ST to then go into the 1 minute ST plus RE, or 5 minute ST. That's how you can constantly continue lower, etc. Here on the 4 hour, it's of course also perfect if you just take the 4 hour REs, because they are likely the highest context right there to continue lower as well. So this is another example. If you want to study it more, then please go ahead and study it more. Then the next part is where we go into the daily. That is Canadian dollar JPY. Canadian dollar JPY. I had set out the daily. Now again, this is purely based on price. Just purely going over examples. This is how I hindsight backtest as well. Then here on the 1 hour, you would look for, let me write it down actually. My anchored text, please. Anchored. All right. So daily PD array for your actual entry, you would look at a 15-minute ST, 15-minute ST plus RE, or a 1 hour ST, which is also known as your one shot, one kill. Then inside that, of course, off of that 15-minute ST plus, or even the 15-minute ST itself, or the 15-minute ST plus RE. So just the 15-minute, whatever the 15-minute creates right there, can already be another 1 minute ST entry. Or a 1 hour ST can also be, of course, going into the 1 minute again, or into the 5 minute, 1 minute ST plus RE, or a 5 minute ST. It's just knowing how much confirmation you need. So you always need 3 confirmations. That's how I count them. And those 3 confirmations are, it's a 15-minute ST plus a RE on your usual time frames, or it's a 15-minute ST. Oh, wait, did I say that correctly? It's 2 confirmations. You always need 2 confirmations, excuse me. So, yeah, did I say that? I think I did, right? At least what I'm trying to tell you is, I think I get the point across. I think you all get the point by now, is that you need to be able to know how much confirmation you need. So, for a daily time frame, for example, if you want to enter off of the 15-minute, you need a 15-minute ST plus RE. Everything that comes above it, perfectly fine. 15-minute ST can also be done if you combine it with a 1 minute ST. So inside that 15-minute ST, you need to confirm that 15-minute ST with another 1 minute ST. That is very important to understand. So that is how you can go about it. So let's look at this price action right here. On the 1 hour, we have this 1 hour ST right there. Just a simple bullish for backup higher, covering that low, 1 to 2, perfect. Next part is inside that 1 hour backup, you can of course also go into the 1 minute again, or the 5 minute. And you can get as crazy as you want to. But again, it's important to know that these are the time frames cheat sheets. If you're using a Delirium model where you go over all these pairs right here, and you also go over the crosses right there, then it is not advised for you to go into the 1 minute time frame and to keep on confirming that, because that's going to take a lot of focus, going to take a lot of energy as well from you. And if you're only focusing on, let's say, a maximum of 6 pairs, etc., that's perfectly fine. Then you can sort of trial and error with that as well, to see how you react to it, if it's not too much, etc. Then right here on the 15-minute, if we go into the 15-minute, and right here we have this ST. This is London Open right there. So we create those bullish for value gaps. Then we have this ST already. Let's ignore the new sweep. It's likely news. I tend to ignore those sweeps as well. Then we just continue higher. Then this, something along the lines of that, would be our 15-minute ST plus RE. Might have gotten tagged out, who knows? And then eventually we deliver higher again with that new entry as well. So that is how you go over the 15-minute ST plus RE. Again, you can also find your own examples in price action. Very simple. If you just go over the daily and you just look, where did the daily follow through? Higher time frame is not that important right now. So you just go into this, for example, and you just say, all right, let me go into the lower time frame right there to see what we did. Did we get something on the 1 hour? 1 hour, we created this 1 hour ST. Now, if we only look at price, then that would have been valid. Time-wise, not really. So you would have waited for this one, not even that one. It's still an Asian session. Might have waited for that one, even higher. And then just looking at price action, you could have also seen, all right, 15-minute ST right there, 15-minute re, a little bit early, another 15-minute re, and eventually we follow through on those re's right there. So that is, again, how you can also make your own studies on this, of course. It's very easy. Just go into hindsight backtesting as well. And if you're not sure, because that is the main thing, which I can fully understand as well, is if you're not sure if you're applying the exercise correctly, because you don't really, or you don't know if you fully understand the concept, perfectly fine, then we can go over it a little bit more as well. All right, so on the 4 hour, I have selected New Zealand dollar, US dollar. So this is funny because now we're getting into the fractal stuff as well, because this New Zealand dollar, US dollar could have very well also come off of what is it? Off of this monthly right there. Then you go into the 4 hour right there, and off of that 4 hour ST that we might have right there, and we didn't have a sting into a fair value gap. Off of that 4 hour ST, we could have also gone into the 5 minute again. And this is constantly how you go about that as well. So here on the 4 hour, I've selected this right there, where this is also funny because right now we're also coming off that daily fair value gap lower. So we had this daily fair value gap right there, 4 hour fair value gap right there, and meaning that in that moment we have new 4 hour context, which we need to take into account, of course. We can expect the retracement to then continue lower. Then on the 5 minute, we would look at a 5 minute ST plus re. So let me write that down again. That is 4 hour. If you want to take an entry, it's again 5 minute ST plus a re, or it's a 15 minute ST. Off of that, you can use a 15 minute ST or even a 1 hour ST, whatever it is, and then another 1 minute ST. Again, you can also, like I mentioned, you can also use a 1 hour ST. As long as you understand that these time frames that I'm giving you, they are the minimum. So if you go below them, they won't work, because that is not what you want to have. So if you're using 4 hour PD ray and you're only using a 5 minute ST, then that's not going to work. It's going to be detrimental. That is important to understand. So on the 5 minute right here, we had this 5 minute ST already. Then we had continued lower. Then this right there could have been a potential entry, not at the right time. So we follow through. Then we had this 5 minute re in London being created as well. That is nice. I want to see a London fair value gap. Then we continue lower right there as well. Eventually this one as well. Taking into account 15 minutes, we have this price action as well right here, right there. And then we continue lower off of that. So that is how you go about the 4 hour. Next part is the 1 hour. So off of the 1 hour, how would you go about it? Now, the 1 hour is also quite interesting, because the 1 hour right here, if you were to look at the 1 hour, you ideally want to go into the 1 minute time frame or the 5 minute time frame. So that is again the fractal part, where if you were to dig a daily fair value gap, for example, we had a daily fair value gap here above price. There was a daily fair value gap right there above price, came into it, sting. Then this 1 hour fair value gap alone, the 1 hour ST, is enough to go into the 1 minute time frame again. Again, the fractal thing. Then right there, if we look at this price action, that piece of price action in the 1 minute, then we just need a 1 minute ST plus re. So let me write that down as well. That is 1 hour. You need a 1 minute ST plus re as a minimum. And then you need, or you need a 5 minute ST. And then from there, you don't go any lower. What you can do is, of course, 15 minute ST and then wait for a 1 minute ST inside of that. Or you can enter off the 15 minute ST alone. That is again that minimum barrier that we can use. For example, if we were to use a 15 minute ST here. Where am I? Right there. Then this 15 minute ST is also a perfectly fine entry off of that alone. So if we go back into the 1 minute, 1 hour fair value gap, continue lower, then this volume imbalance, now again, the way I classify my ST is I like to have the best, most beautiful ST, which is a fair value gap overlapping, a bullish fair value gap overlapping with a bearish fair value gap. For me, a volume imbalance, and that really depends on the situation as well, but for me, a volume imbalance that I also count as some kind of volatility, as displacement lower if it's on one side of the ST. So a bullish volume imbalance or a bearish volume imbalance, that's also something I would count in this case. Then the next part is we have this re right there, very low actually, right there, cover the high, and we continue lower. Or you would use a 5-minute ST. Let's see if we get it. Very low actually, very low. So in this case, when you have that 5-minute ST very low, what I would prefer is just take that 15-minute ST that we had right there, and then go into the 1-minute ST off of that. So let's see if we get that. We get it, but the entry again is very low as well. Not sure where the target is, or if we even already reached the target, but that is how you can go about that. Then the next part is, let me see, it's New Zealand dollar, US dollar again. New Zealand dollar, US dollar again. And let me see, 24th of October. Yes, so this is also something we talked about, right? Where if you were to take an entry off of the daily fair value gap, because now we're using the daily fair value gap, which is sitting right there. This daily fair value gap. Right there. Then if you were to enter off of that daily fair value gap, you would need a 15-minute ST plus re. But if you were to enter off of the 1 minute, then right here you can use this 15-minute ST right there to go into the 1 minute time frame to look for an entry. Because basically what you're doing, you're confirming the re right there. So you are confirming the re in that moment. So right here into the 1 minute, and then you wait for a 1 minute ST. Now for my 1 minute ST, I do like to cover a little bit more. As in, I like to cover my 15-minute fair value gap like that. Just give it some space. Main reason for that is because your ST, from what I notice, is that an ST, the entry itself, the stop loss placement might not always be the best with an ST, especially a 1 minute ST. From what I've noticed, 1 hour ST is a little bit different. Try to play around with it as well. But then right here, you just target lower as well, and we just continue lower. So that is how you can go about it as well. Then you would have gotten a 1 to 2 way earlier than if you waited for the 15-minute ST plus re, which I did at that moment. And again, I didn't go into the 1 minute because that's too much worth me right there. But again, if you're using the filtering process trading plan, and you can do the exact same thing, and you can go into the 1 minute time frame, I would argue. And the main reason for that is, and why I now say all of a sudden that you can do it, is because once you start off with just delirium, normal delirium, 15-minute ST plus re-entry, and then after a while you notice, all right, I'm in a flow, I can do this, I have the experience. And again, I'm talking about maybe a 1 year time frame. I'm not talking about you next month and you think you have it all under control. No. That's not what I'm talking about. But right here, let's say, all right, the 15-minute, that 1 minute ST extra is not really much of a step for me to take extra. As in, I can potentially handle that. In my own trading, I would say, yes, I can potentially handle that. But if I were to go into the 1 hour, which I would normally would not do, because as you know, I don't really take 1 hour ST entries. I usually go a daily fair value gap, 15-minute ST plus re, and then I take the entry. If I were to change that from daily fair value gap, 15-minute ST plus then 1 minute ST, it wouldn't change much. But if I now were to incorporate a 1 hour time frame, which I normally don't do, then that's a whole new time frame, etc. That's a whole new scenario that I need to look at. So that makes it a little bit more difficult. And that's when I would say, don't do that, because that is going to mess with your trading, etc. So that is how I view that as well. Where if you were to take, for example, your weekly trade, your weekly PD rate, 1 hour ST, and then go into the 1 minute or into the 5 minute, then I would say, all right, that's doable. That's not that crazy, as long as you don't look to incorporate or you don't break that old style that you had. Because if I now go into the 1 hour and wait for that 1 minute ST plus re, then that's a whole new trading plan almost. So that is not what I would want to do. Let me know if this makes sense. Hopefully this cleared something up as well. And again, these examples are what you can use. So these are the examples. Feel free to write them down as well according to the video right here. All right, perfect. Thank you.